at it again, and I came across this interesting video from Campus Reform, and it highlights something very, very interesting in today's society at large. I mean, yeah, it's quite crazy. It's something that I've honestly kind of thought about from time to time when watching some of these videos. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed to the channel already, hit that subscribe button and join the family. All right, and make sure you guys are following me on social media. All of those links are down below in the description box: Instagram, Twitter, True Social, Discord server. It is all down below in the description box. All right, and with that being said, let's dive in.
I'm Calvin Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're at the University of Georgia, offering $100 to any student that can give me an example of a liberal speaker being shouted down by conservative students. Let's see what they have to say. In the past year, there's been a lot of coverage about events around the country, speakers going and getting shouted down, events getting shut down for safety reasons, people getting assaulted, things of that nature. I'll give you $100 if you can give an example of conservative students on a campus shutting down a liberal speaker.
$100 if they could tell him a time when a liberal speaker was shouted down by conservative students. I guarantee you not one person can name a time. And isn't that very, very interesting how the two sides, and I put air quotations because we're all on the same team as I've spoken about before, but just for the sake of simplicity, how the two sides are so drastically different. You have students on the left who will shout some of the most vile things at a conservative speaker. We've watched it in some of the Caitlin Bennett videos. I've literally had to bleep it out because they're just cursing up a storm in the background. I'm like, yo, what is happening? What is going on? They say some of the craziest things to conservatives. But I've never seen a conservative student or a group of conservative students shout at a liberal speaker or a leftist speaker. Ever. I've never seen it. I'm sure it has happened at some point in time, somewhere. Because, of course, there's outliers. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? There's always the one. But for the most part, you don't see that. You don't see it. And, watching some of these videos, I've definitely had thoughts of, admittedly, because once again, I'm not perfect, but I've admittedly had thoughts of maybe we should start treating the left the way the left treats the right. Now, is that right? Of course not. Once you really calm down and you think about it logically. But watching some of these videos, sometimes it makes me angry. Like, man, why are they treating people on the right like piles of poop? Like this stuff is unacceptable. But we're just expected to just take it. You know what? Treat them the same way they treat us. Nah, that ain't right. That ain't right. Just because they're stooping low doesn't mean you have to stoop low with them. Admittedly, I've had those thoughts. Because I watch a whole lot of videos of some crazy, crazy stuff. All right? And yeah, just watching some of this stuff. Have y'all had some of those same thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. Obviously, we know they're not right, but let's go.
$100.
Just off the top of my head.
UGA campus?
Any campus.
Any campus. I'm not too aware.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose that $100 because I can't.
No, I don't think I can. I wish I could, but no.
Something we've seen a lot from liberal student groups on campus. Anything on the opposite side?
Not that I know of. I don't know. I'm not too knowledgeable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get that $100. I haven't heard of one yet.
Yeah,
I
nobody's gonna
honestly
get
would
it.
believe that hasn't happened before.
Anything come to mind?
No.
Say that again, sister.
Honestly, would believe that hasn't happened before.
Can't say that about the left, though.
Anything come to mind?
No.
Yeah. And it's also crazy that, you know, she said that because the left always says, oh, the right, they're so hateful, they're this, they're that, blah, 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 blah. But the right is always the calm ones. Always. Even in the midst of chaos. Even in the midst of people yelling and screaming and calling them all types of names, most people on the right are just, you know, literally saw a video of, I think his name is Alex Stein. I think I mentioned this the other day, getting spit on by a leftist. Spit on. Whole loogie. When have you ever seen somebody from the right do that? I'll wait.
There we go. Yeah, I don't get the $100 then.
I don't know. I think everybody kind of thinks that because they lean conservative, they're kind of closed-minded, so that they, you know, they're just single issue, I guess. I don't know. So
Isn't it closed-minded to shut them down then?
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't really know like much else about it, but
I just think people are a bit more open on the liberal side.
If it's about being open-minded and one side being more open-minded, wouldn't you say it's the conservative side that's more open-minded if they're not rioting and trying to shut down events from liberal speakers?
Yeah, that's I mean, I think it's both sides.
And why do you think, you know, conservative students are more
Goodness gracious.
likely to allow liberal speakers on campus?
Hold on, what do you say?
I think, you know, conservative students are more
Yeah, that's I mean, I think it's both sides.
And why do you think, you know, conservative students are more likely to allow liberal speakers on campus?
I don't know.
Because they're more tolerant?
I think so. I think if they did it, they know there'd be more backlash.
Liberal point of
Very
views
true.
are often more palatable.
But when you say conservative students view leftist ideas as not palatable as well, but they don't revert to shutting down speech.
Yeah, but
I think that's a red herring argument. I think you're trying, it's not necessarily a red herring argument, but I think you're trying to equate having certain
liberal stuff is normally a lot less hate fueled and divisive.
Well, who gets to decide what's divisive and what's not?
Well, when it divides people, it tends to be more divisive.
But if it's a liberal speaker that's coming and conservative students didn't like it, if their reaction was to let it be heard out, wouldn't you say it's a better reaction than trying to shut something down?
Sorry, what did you say?
Conservative students as a whole tend to be more, you know, tolerant towards opinions that are coming to campus they disagree with, whereas the liberal students' response is more to shut them down, and why that is.
I don't profess to say why other people do what other people do.
So yeah, absolutely crazy, and I love what he did here in this video and keeping the conversation going. That's something that I've always touched on, or that I've touched on several times in some of these videos, where there's, you know, street interviews or campus interviews, especially with leftists, because they're prone to anger, as we have seen. They get angry very, very quickly and very easily. So you have to interview them in a way that doesn't provoke the anger. And I think the way that he did that was perfect, just by asking a simple question and offering up money, right? That's a pretty good way to entice people. Hey, here's $100. You know, it's not like $1 or anything where people are just like, whatever. You know, here's $100. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. You know, these are college students, so I'm sure they could all use $100, even including myself. I could use $100. Okay. But here's $100 to name something. And it was a question that specifically called out their side of the aisle. Like, hey, when have you ever seen a conservative student yell at a liberal speaker? And so now they had to sit there and think like, wow, okay, maybe conservatives aren't that bad, because I couldn't even tell you. But I do remember the protests that all of us leftists had when a conservative came to campus. Now, granted, in this situation here, it wasn't the greatest in the world, because you even had a guy here who said, oh, well, I think liberals are more open-minded. Then he was corrected. Then he said, oh, well, I think it's both. So, I mean, there was a little bit of coping there, right? But I think over time, people's minds can be changed through that type of method of speaking with folks. Just simply asking a question, possibly even offering them, you know, $100 to come up with the answer. So it gives them some type of incentive to stay there and keep the conversation going, because I think that's ultimately the way that we change the landscape of things, is having open and honest conversations. But the only way that we could do that right now with leftists is carefully. It has to be carefully worded, carefully done. And I think it was done very, very well in this video here, which is part of the reason why I wanted to show it to you guys, because I loved what he did there. So yeah, that strategy was awesome. But if you guys have any more strategies in terms of, you know, talking to leftists who are obviously prone to anger and storming off, you know, which is why I came up with the saying, when the facts come out, they run, right? Because we've seen that time and time again. But if you guys have any other methods of really connecting with folks, let me know in the comment section, because I think stuff like this is important to highlight and try to implement into our daily lives, because once again, there's a lot of people that are lost out here that just need to be made aware of the actual truth. But in order to get the truth to them, you have to connect with them on, you know, a certain type of way. Otherwise, they shut down, right? And that's why, you know, we highlight stuff like this. But as always, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. And last thing, no, I don't mean trying to manipulate folks in any way, shape, or form, because somebody may take that out of what I'm saying. I don't mean manipulate folks at all. I'm just saying connect with folks in a different way than what we have seen in certain videos where people have just stormed off, because obviously it doesn't work. All right? Peace and love. I'm out.